It is week 4 of the NBA fantasy basketball season, and you on the internet trying to find some information so you could pick the right players to grab off of the waiver wire. In this episode, we're going to share all of the players that you need to focus on for week 4 so you can win your matchup. We believe every NBA fan that plays fantasy football should also play fantasy basketball. So we're here for week 4. We're super excited. Man, we had a great start to the season. So many new players coming over from fantasy football to join us for fantasy basketball. And we are just honored that we've been the channel to welcome you to this amazing sport. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, who do I need to pick up this week? Who do I need to grab? What we're going to do is we're going to break down a bunch of players. Some of these players are going to be long-term holds. Some of them are going to be temporary based on injury. Some of them are just people I have an eye on, and I have to drop that name because not too many people are talking about him. With that being said, let's jump on in. The first player I want to talk about is a player that I've been watching for a while. My son is a big-time high school basketball fan, and he was talking about this player when he played for Sierra Canyon alongside one Bronny James. But this guy is actually kicking major butt. He is on fire, cooking up with hot grease. I'm talking about from the New Orleans Pelicans, Brandon Boston Jr., a.k.a. BJ Boston. Now, you can see from the hat that we are here representing Atlanta for this episode. In the Atlanta area, BJ Boston is an absolute legend. Before he went to play high school ball for Sierra Canyon, he was actually playing here in the Atlanta area. He is an absolute monster, but he wasn't getting the playing time or the opportunity when he played for the Clippers. Now, because of all of these injuries that are going down in New Orleans, we got DeJounte Murray out. We got CJ McCollum out. Now we got Zion Williamson out. There's just injuries stacking up, which in fantasy means tons of opportunity. And with a young player like Boston, the upside is otherworldly. If you can grab him off the waiver wire, he is a high priority add for me. I'm trying to grab him wherever I can, especially if you're in a 12-team league. If you're in a 10-team league, you might need to drop him and then maybe stream his spot, but he's somebody you want to keep an eye on. Over the last 7 days, y'all got to listen up to this. This is crazy, y'all. BJ Boston in the last 7 days is averaging 35.8 minutes per game. Let that sink in. Top is off. Boobies is out. Hair blowing in the frickin' wind. Convertible. Status. Woo! I'm just saying. I'm not done. In the last 7 days, he is averaging 18.5 points per game. Yes. 4 rebounds per game. That's okay. 4 assists a game. That's okay. But check this out. 1 steal per game. On the season, he's averaging 1.1 steals per game. So this is not a fluke. This is a, hey, if you give me minutes, I will produce. On the 8th, versus Orlando, 38 minutes, yes. 26 points, yes. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Come on. Guess how many turnovers? Zip 0, stingy with De Niro. Might buy you crisp, but that about it. 0. No turnovers. I'm not done. On the 6th versus Cleveland, 38 minutes, yes. 14 points, yes. 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 blocks. How many turnovers? 0. Last one. On the 4th of November against Portland, 37 minutes, yes. 20 points, yes. 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. What? Where they do that at? I'm not done. 1 block. Your man is cooking with hot bacon grease. Make sure you pick up BJ Boston if he is still available on your waiver wire. In ESPN leagues, he is only rostered in 7.7% of leagues. Act now. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. People is out here playing games, man. Talking about BJ freaking Boston. Next up, another player that not too many folks are talking about, not really rostered as much as he should be. Maybe in our super competitive leagues, if you play in a league on fan tracks, maybe he's rostered more there. But in most casual leagues, he's available and people are not. And I tell you, they are not talking about him. And I think a part of it has to do with the fact that he's on a lame team. He's on a team that don't really ring bells these days. I'm talking about from the Washington Wizards, Kesan George. Now, Kesan George is on a team that is ripe with fantasy value, right? And I think sometimes in fantasy, when we don't know the names of the players, sometimes, managers can ignore and not pay attention to what's happening. And I think because the Wizards have all of these kind of new, young, no name, no frill, kind of players, they are getting the short end of the stick in terms of getting picked up off of the waiver wire. This is a young man you want to pay attention to. There's a lot of value on the Washington Wizards roster right now, but this guy is someone you want to check for. Kesan George is not getting picked up as much as we would like. He's only rostered in 6.3% of ESPN leagues. Over the last 7 days, he's averaging 35.3 points. 35.3 minutes per game. And you know what we say all the time? In a points league, if you get the minutes, the production will likely follow. If guys are on the floor, they're going to score the ball, they're going to rebound, they're going to get some steals, they're going to get some assists. That is the metric that points leagues players really need to pay attention to. So on the season, he's averaging 29 minutes a game, which is still a very positive signal. 35.3 minutes per game in the last 7 days, 17.3 points per game. Huh? What? 6.3 rebounds. Come on. 2.7 assists. That's okay. But check this out. 1 steal per game. He is a viable fantasy basketball asset. I would go grab him right now. The next player we want to take a look at is somebody that we've spoken about on several occasions over the years. And he's another player that when the opportunity presents itself, he actually puts in the work and gets the kind of production, or gives the kind of production needed to be a productive fantasy basketball player. And again, it's not a sexy name. I'll start by saying that. It's not sexy. But again, we have so many players injured on his team. He plays for the Orlando Magic. We lost Paolo Banchero. It's just a lot of opportunity. I'm talking about from the Orlando Magic, Goga Bitadze. Now, Goga is somebody that I've had on my roster this season. You probably had him on your roster. You're going to drop him. You're going to pick him up. It's kind of like going through one of those revolving doors at a big building. Like, come in, come out, it is what it is. But I don't give a shih-tzu puppy. Goga is going to continue to produce. Wendell Carter Jr. is banged up. Paolo Banchero's banged up. really it's just a clear runway for him to produce consistently. Over the last 7 days, he's averaged 26.5 minutes per game, which is about a 10-minute increase from his on the season minutes per game average. He's averaging a double-double over the last 7 days. Huh? Let that sink in. A double-double. 10.5 points, 10.5 assists. Also averaging 3 assists, 0.8 blocks. And check this out. Listen up close on this one. 1.8 blocks per game. Your man Goga is standing on business. Standing on business. Now, this is a player we talked about. The next player is someone we talked about in a previous episode this season, but I had to revisit it. I had to come back and take a look at it just because not only is he hitting, but he's starting to go off, and you want to make a move ASAP if he's available on your waiver wire from the Indiana Pacers, Benedict Maan. Now, we know Tyrese Haliburton has been stinking up the joint, but Benedict Maan has been delivering. Over the last 7 days, your man Benedict Maan is averaging 35.8 points per game. Yes, 24 points per game. Come on. On a season, he's averaging 19.4. So it's not a shock, right? He's going off. 8 rebounds per game, 2 assists, and 1 steal. Don't play around. Quickly, needed to make sure you knew. Grab Benedict Maan. Now, the next player we want to talk about is another person who's taking advantage of the injuries. Embiid banged up. We also got George in and out. He's playing now, but who knows how long he'll play. Oly Jr. Maxi's out. They over there, it looks like a daggone Philadelphia 76ers triage, right? It is not good. Just a lot of Sixers are down. Oly Jr. will take advantage of that. He did have a couple of duds in his last couple of games, so that's one thing you want to be mindful of. However, there still will be opportunity for him, so somebody I'm just keeping an eye on. Not as excited about him as I am about some of the players that I spoke about previously, but you can still get some value from him. That I don't doubt. If you love this community and you want to invest in what we are building, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Think of it like treating me to a coffee and bagel once a month. Becoming a paid subscriber will grant you access to our MVP Discord channel, priority DM and email replies, and priority rate my team videos. And most importantly, your support will help us to keep creating content. You are not obligated or expected to pay anything to be a part of this community, but there are expenses associated with running this operation, and your support will help us keep this going for years to come. To get started, visit BelieveInFantasy.com, enter your email, and select the level of support that works best for you. The next player we want to take a look at, another player we talked about, actually last week we talked about him, but I had to listen. I had to pull up and come back with it. Payton Pritchard. Yes, Payton Pritchard. Your man is only rostered in 38.2% of ESPN leagues. And that is not okay. That is questionable work. Your man is cooking with hot coconut oil. He is out here blazing, Johnny blazing. Jaylen Brown is out, and your man Payton Pritchard is eating with a large serving spoon. And he's on the waiver wire. Where they do that at? So I had to talk about him again. I had to do a daggone Hitman Holla remix. Your man Payton Pritchard, your man Payton Pritchard is back because Jaylen Brown is out. Jaylen Brown is out. Jaylen Brown is out. I'm saying, big shout out Hitman Holla. Yo, Payton Pritchard is cooking. Let me just share some of his stats. In the last couple games, I'm just going to talk about points. On the 10th against Miami, 18 points. On the 8th against Brooklyn, 20 points. 6th against Golden State, 16. 4th against Atlanta, 18. On the 2nd of November, 22 points. Your man is consistent. He's averaging 28.5 points per game, averaging 18 points per game in the last 7 days, averaging 16.5 points per game on the season. This is not a fluke. This is not a drill. This is the real thing. Oh, baby. Next up, one of the most sought after people, and he might not be available on your waiver wire, but I had to mention him, Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert is rostered in 59.8% of ESPN leagues. He is likely not available in a very competitive league, but if you're in a new league, if you have your coworkers that you got in a league and people are just out there playing around, he might be available. And like, if you are in one of those leagues, you want to be the shark. You want to get your prize money. And if he's available, definitely somebody I'm picking up like right now. In the last 7 days, he's averaging 26.7 points per game, 12 points per game, 5 rebounds a game. My apologies, 26.7 minutes per game, 12 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists, 1.7 steals, and check this out, 1 block per game. So he's cooking, absolutely cooking. I would not let him stay on the waiver wire if he was available. The next player is another guy that if he's on the waiver wire, you want to act now. He, in my opinion, is a must roster player. I also think Payton Pritchard is a must roster player. The rest of the guys I don't know. But for Payton Pritchard and for this next person that I'm about to talk about, hands down, one of the most valuable waiver wire plays today. And I think he gets a bad rap because of his reputation, but we'll talk about it from the New Orleans Pelicans, Jose Alvarado. Yes, the guy who like scrunches in the back and like sneaks up behind and steals the ball from people, been doing it since college, like that guy. Listen, he's always been kind of a guy that you ignore, you pick up, you drop, but with these injuries, and when I tell you the injuries in New Orleans are out of this world. CJ McCollum banged up. DeJounte Murray banged up. Zion Williamson banged up. There's tons of opportunity, and Jose Alvarado is not playing. Only rostered in 21.3% of ESPN leagues. In the last 7 days, he is averaging 33.3 minutes per game, up from his average of 26.4 on the season. And check this out. 18.8 points per game in the last 7 days, 5.8 assists, and most importantly, 1.8 steals per game. In ESPN leagues, if you're using standard scoring, the steals are worth 4 points. So that's 8 points pretty much every night anyway. Just he's going to get 8 nights from him sneaking around in the back and getting his 2 steals. Listen. The Pels are hurting right now. And for now, until further notice, indefinitely, until we get news about these players coming back, I'm holding Jose Alvarado, especially if you're in a 12-team league or above. You got to hold Jose Alvarado. Tired of confusing daily fantasy sports sites with too many rules and endless options? It's time to simplify your DFS experience with Owner's Box. Owner's Box offers a fresh approach to DFS, focusing on 3 easy-to-understand formats. First, salary cap DFS. You can draft your dream team across NFL, NBA, NHL, or MLB. It's super simple, it's fun, and it's the classic way to play DFS. Number 2, lightning lineups. Spin the wheel, choose your lineup, and win big. It's a fast-paced, high-stakes format that's perfect for thrill seekers, and it's only available on Owner's Box. Third, players picks. Predict player performance by simply picking more or less. This exciting way to play DFS offers big payouts for accurate predictions. With Owner's Box, you enjoy industry-leading payouts, quick withdrawals, and a user-friendly platform. And check this out. Sign up today and earn up to $500 in bonus rewards. Let that sink in. Simplify your DFS experience, maximize your winnings, and enhance your game-watching experience. To get started, visit bit.ly/ownersbox500. That's bit.ly/ownersbox500. Or just hit the link in the description of this episode. The next player we're talking about, not as sexy, I don't know if I would consider him a must-hold, but definitely somebody I would keep an eye on from the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart is getting a little bit of run. You want to just pay attention, monitor it. Jalen Duren has not been having the best season. He's been banged up. It's like, it's an opportunity for Isaiah Stewart. He's getting some minutes. Over the last 7 days, 26.2 minutes per game, 8.4 points, 8 rebounds. It's solid, but again, just something I would monitor and pay attention to. Now, the next player, oh baby, he is another must-roster player. And what I like to say is, the apple don't fall far from the tree. Huh? You know what I'm talking about yet? I'm not talking about Bronny James and LeBron James. I'm talking about another father-son duo from different eras that don't play together. But when I tell you, I watched him, yo. I said, let me see it. I got a league pass. I said, I got to see this kid play. Huh? A chip off the old block. I'm talking about from the Memphis Grizzlies, Scotty Pippen Jr. Ooh, baby. When I tell you, I love Scotty Pippen Jr. The glaze is otherworldly. Yo, your man is low-key the best. He's my favorite waiver wire acquisition right now. I'm loving Scotty Pippen Jr. And I think very similar to the New Orleans Pelicans because of the injuries that they are experiencing and what they have to endure there with all of their players banged up. Like, everybody's hurt in Memphis. This kid is showing that he belongs and he's producing. Only rostered in 46% of ESPN leagues. Over the last 7 days, he's averaging 28.3 minutes per game, 13 points per game, 6.7 rebounds per game, 6 assists a game, 0.7 steals. The balance, he's like almost averaging 7 rebounds a game and getting 6 assists. He is a chip off the old block, right? He's like the baby version of what his dad was. He's a little shorter, whatever, but he contributes in a similar fashion, just a tier or two below on the great Scottie Pippen. So I'm excited off a name value alone. I knew he was in the league, but now that he's getting some minutes, it's just really exciting to see what he's doing. On the 8th against Washington, he had a triple-double. I think it was the first ever father-son triple-double in history or something like that I read. Don't quote me on that. If you guys have info on that, drop that in the comments. But man, it's exciting. Triple doubles, getting all of this opportunity. If he's available in your league, I am grabbing Scotty Pippen Jr. And the next player I'm talking about here is from the Denver Nuggets, someone that earlier in the week, because of the injury to Aaron Gordon, was a very popular waiver wire ad. A bunch of of my fantasy analysts, fellow fantasy basketball analysts were speaking about him, but I had to just run it for this week's episode so you guys know if he's available, you want to take a look. I'm talking about Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson is only rostered in 4.5% of ESPN leagues. Aaron Gordon is out, so there's tons of opportunity for him. Over the last 7 days, he's averaging 33.8 minutes per game, 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1 steal, and check this out, 1.5 blocks per game. Definitely somebody that I'm interested in grabbing. Depending on the size of your league, you might want to hold. I wouldn't consider him a must roster at this point, but I definitely think he has the potential, and you want to just make sure you pay attention and monitor. This is super important. We need you to be a two-way player. We need you to play offense, and we need you to play defense. How do you do that? On offense, we need you to watch the YouTube version of this episode. And on defense, we need you to listen to the podcast. It would mean the world to us. We create all of this content for free, but the way you can support us is by playing offense, watching on YouTube, and listening up on the podcast to play defense. As we do every week, we're going to do our rapid fire waiver wire list. These are some players you want to pay attention to. Some of them are players that should be on rosters, and I'll definitely specify as much as I can to give you some context on that. So rapid fire, really quick, just guys you need to pay attention to. Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry with Tyrese Maxey out, Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Trey Murphy, Yves Missi, Shaedon Sharpe, who just returned. He might be hanging out on your waiver wire. Jalen Wells, Tumani Kamara, Kesan Wallace, Ochai Agbaji, Royce O'Neal. With the injury to Kevin Durant, I would really take a look at Royce O'Neal. Kevin Durant is going to be out for 2 weeks with a calf strain, I believe. Don't sleep on Royce O'Neal. When KD is out, your man goes all the way off. Dorian Finney-Smith, Ayo Dosunmu, Anthony Black, Lou Dort, Najee Marshall from the injury-riddled New Orleans Pelicans, Santi Aldama, Grant Williams, Zachary Rissache, and these are some guys who should be on rosters. Bilal Coulibaly, if he's available and you have space, put him on your roster. PJ Washington, I think he's banged up right now, but definitely somebody, if you have an IR spot and he's IR eligible, I would grab and stash. Christian Brown, your man is for real. Like, grab Christian Brown. Alex Sarr. It's surprising how Alex Sarr is not rostered everywhere. If he's available in your league, I would pick him up. Dyson Daniels has been dropped in some places. Make sure Dyson Daniels is on a roster. Jaden Ivey, Tariq Eason are the last couple of players that you want to make sure are on a roster. Now that you know the waiver wire targets for week 4, check out this episode on how to maximize and optimize your lineups. This episode was presented to you by BetOnline.